All right, welcome back to Women's Strength and Bodybuilding, where we highlight beautiful and talented women who compete. The purpose of this video is to bring you news, stories, results, and coverage of your favorite past and present muscular female competitors. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you could do me a favor and smash that like button and watch till the end of the video, it'd really help me out in the YouTube algorithm. I really appreciate your support. My name is Mark, and I wanted to make a video about Bev Francis, or the owner of the bodybuilding mecca, Powerhouse Gym in New York. Without even talking about Bev's bodybuilding career, owning a destination gym is already a massive achievement in itself. She's trained a lot of champions, as you can see right on the homepage, and the two favorites in women's bodybuilding are shown first thing. Go figure. Some of you might remember Bev from her contests, and you may have seen her on the first televised Miss Olympia in 1991. Others might remember her from Pumping Iron 2, the sequel to the original that skyrocketed Arnold to stardom and success. Sadly, it didn't have quite the same effect for the women's careers, outside of magazine covers and the occasional movie role. But it's no doubt interesting seeing it in contrast to the original. What made the original so iconic was how aggressive the competitors were, especially Arnold. Though he was technically friends with other competitors like Franco Columbu, his aggressive attitude made it seem as if he was neither friend nor foe to anyone. It was this in-between aggressiveness where he was able to build someone up while at the same time tearing them down twice as bad. And nobody knew Arnold's training and physique better than he did. He pushed harder than anyone, even the people he trained with. And who could forget this scene?
The greatest feeling you can get in a gym, or the most satisfying feeling you can get in a gym, is the pump. It's really tight. It's like somebody blowing air into your muscle. It just blows up and it feels different. It feels fantastic.
I wonder if it's like that for the women. I sure hope so. Anyways, what makes it great is it has so many moments like that where it felt totally off the cuff and unscripted. It also ran in parallel to the Mr. Olympia competition, but not Pumping Iron 2. The contest was the Caesars World Cup, a show that was created specifically for the film. Pumping Iron 2 didn't have the same energy as its predecessor. A lot of it felt overly glamorized, somewhat objectified, and almost scripted, especially the scenes with Rachel McLeish. If you don't know what I mean, you can find the opening tanning bed scene around on YouTube. Between that and the song that plays in the background, you'll see what I mean. It's almost as if these women wanted to train, but were extremely self-conscious about getting too big. You can tell from the dialogue that Rachel was training just to match what won her the Olympia in the years leading up to the film, rather than increasing her size and strength to new levels like the competitors do today. It's crazy to see that the Miss Olympia contenders from back then would probably get beaten out by the women in the modern figure or even the bikini divisions. Back then, the women didn't have much size at all, but Bev sure did. Out of most all these competitors, Bev was by far the one that had a visionary goal in mind: to look like a woman, develop muscle, be strong, and look like a statue or Greek god. Those are her words. Bev is originally from Australia. Before arriving in the United States to train for the film, her trainer said he was going to train her even harder than he trains the men. He said she trained like an animal, just totally unhinged. This was in stark contrast to Rachel McLeish, whose training appeared to be more lackadaisical in order to maintain a more slender, feminine, and defined look. In many ways, Bev redefined the boundaries of what a muscular woman can and should be both on stage and in this film. Even though her goals were revolutionary, they didn't help her at all in the film, where she ended up placing 8th out of 15 competitors at the 1983 Caesars World Cup. She said for that particular show she'd either be first or last, meaning her level of muscularity would either do really well or the opposite. You'll find that Bev experienced quite a bit of scrutiny and judgment throughout her career for being too big. Keep in mind that she was competing in a brand new era where nobody knew what the women should look like. It was very vague, not like it is today with 5 different divisions of which women can choose how they look and how big they want to get. As a result, Bev was constantly changing her look to appeal to the judges and improve her placings, but ultimately fell short of the placing she deserved. Bev described herself as a bit of a tomboy from early on, but also very much as a woman later on. She was very attracted to things which were big, strong, and powerful. She was the baby of her family, the youngest of 5 kids. And it's clear that she was loved by all, especially her dad. There's a really sweet scene in Pumping Iron 2 where she reads a card sent to her by her dad wishing all her dreams to come true. This was before email and the internet, so the only way to stay in touch was sending a physical letter in the mail. A lot of these lady bodybuilders, both new and old, have great relationships with their supportive parents, and it's so great to see. Like most all other women we cover on this channel, Bev's bodybuilding career started off in something completely different. Around 1974, she began seriously training for the shot put and broke an Australian record in 1977. She also did discus, javelin, and the 100-meter reserve. She also started powerlifting, and by 1980, she held several world records in her weight class. In 1981, she was the first woman to bench over 300 pounds at the World Powerlifting Championships. In 1982, she set a world record squat at 476 pounds at the Australian Powerlifting Championships. Her best lifts were a 500-pound squat, a 335-pound bench press, and a 501-pound deadlift, so that's very impressive. I don't know about you guys, but my knees buckle just thinking about doing a 500-pound deadlift. After benching over 300 pounds, a picture of her doing the most muscular pose in a bikini made its way onto several bodybuilding magazines. The crab flex, or most muscular, was Bev's best pose by far. I know I show this clip all the time on this channel, but that's because it's so iconic, and she does it so well. Her traps look huge, almost to the point where she could go head-to-head in the men's division. Even her neck looks thick, full, and extremely muscular. Her delts, down into the bis, tris, and forearms, have that extremely tight and pumped up shrink-wrap look. Like they're so big, strong, and vascular as they bulge off her 5'5" frame that they're about ready to burst. Her chest was also really impressive, with symmetrical deep cuts and striations in the muscle. But the real beauty of this pose was how it all flowed together. Her size, symmetry, and proportions were on another level, and each muscle group really complemented one another. Nobody can do this pose quite like Bev could, and it's my opinion this pose grabbed a lot of people's attention and interest. I'd go as far to say that it helped shape some of the competitors of today. There are some other variants of Bev doing the crab flex, but none quite like the 1991 Olympia. In addition to this amazing pose, there are several other photos of Bev pulling some really impressive weight. Like, look at this one. She's got some seriously huge guns. This photo shows us how she got such big traps. She's doing dumbbell shrugs with what looks to be 130-pound weights in each arm. She used to weigh around 160 pounds, so together that's almost twice her body weight. Next time you're in the gym, head over to the dumbbell section and try picking one of these bad boys up. They are so heavy. Bev's contest history is a little bit checkered. There are a lot of questionable placings shrouded in controversy. In 1983, she placed 8th at the Caesars World Cup for Pumping Iron 2. In 84, she placed 8th at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. In 86, she moved up 5 placings to take 3rd at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. She also placed 3rd at the LA Pro, 3rd at the Miss International, and 10th at the Olympia. 1987 is her only first place finish where she won the Pro World Championship. In 1987, 88, and 89 she placed 3rd at the Olympia. And in 1990 and 91 she placed 2nd at the Olympia. The 1991 Miss Olympia is probably the show of hers that invoked the most controversy. Basically, it was aired on ESPN for the first time ever, and the event spanned the course of 2 days. 1 day for the judging, and 1 day for the posing routines and pose downs. Long story short, Bev was in first place and 4 points ahead of Linda Murray after the judging rounds on day 1. And if you know anything about bodybuilding, you know that the judging rounds matter way more than the posing rounds do. If there are 2 contenders that placed equally in the judging round, the posing round is used to split the difference. But if it's not even close in the judging rounds like in this case, and one competitor places much higher than the rest, the posing round won't improve the runner-up's chances very much, if at all. So Bev led in first place pretty much the entire way through the show. Then at the last minute, Linda Murray was announced as the first place champion. It's rumored that once again, Bev was too big and muscular to be the figurehead of women's bodybuilding for ESPN, and they couldn't risk potential damage to their brand name if a woman as big and as muscular as she was won the competition. So they gave it to Linda Murray instead. Personally, I think this broke Bev's heart, and it caused her to go in a different direction. Here's what she had to say. You know, when I came in as the most muscular competitor at the 1983 Caesars Palace contest, I should have been first or last. The same should have applied to the 1991 Miss Olympia. After being in the lead with only the posing and pose down to go, I still can't believe I lost that contest. In my heart and in my mind, I can't motivate myself to compete in another bodybuilding contest. The fire for competition is no longer there. I have no bitterness. Bodybuilding gave me a great life and I'm thankful for that. What a champion. Part of being a champion is recognizing when it's time to hang it up. Bev was just before her time. And sometimes when your efforts to be the biggest and best are as monumental as hers were, it takes time for people to truly see it. But it always echoes back. I'll never forget the first time I saw Bev hit that most muscular pose in the Miss O in 1991. We have a lot to thank and admire her for, because she's helped revolutionize this sport and shape some of the most incredible women we see in the scene nowadays. These days, Bev has very much become the figurehead that ESPN didn't want her to be in 1991. She owns her own gym, and in 2021 she competed in a drug-tested Masters powerlifting competition, where she set more records. She has overcome a tremendous amount of adversity to rise to the legend she is today. Here's to wishing Bev all the best health, happiness, and continued success in her journey. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, leave a comment about Bev, and subscribe for more great women's strength and bodybuilding content.